What's good, Josh? Your boy Jay Suave. You see the poster, you already know what it is. Another week, another episode of Power. In today's video, we're here to talk about episode 406 entitled The Price of Fame. Rest in peace, my boy Famous. The streets definitely need a body for my son. It's no forgiving how they did him. See how a lot of our characters grieve with his death and struggle with the next moves that they about to make now that they know he's gone. We got Luke getting ready to get back to the bottle, Juke and Kanan ready to crash out on anybody who said Famous's name wrong. We got Detective Garcia, who is now all of a sudden interested in finding out what happened to Famous. Questioning his mom directly, like, now all of a sudden you concerned about my son after we find his body, after I had to lay my boy to rest, and after I had to visualize my son's mangled and dismembered body. You got me messed up coming to my house asking me what happened to Famous now. We do get some new evidence throughout this episode on what could happen to Famous. Some confirmed things, some things that were made up by OC, who by the episode is becoming more and more of a op, by the way. He like Shauna on Yellow Jackets, just finding new ways to up his opsicity. But we'll get into that along with the other storylines in this episode in this video. So y'all already know what y'all gotta do before I get into anything. If you like anything I have to say at all, y'all on TikTok, like, comment, repost the video, share it with other people. And on my YouTube, y'all know y'all gotta like, comment, share, then subscribe at the end. Don't leave the channel without subscribing. I'm not playing. And let's just jump right into the review. So we start off the episode at Shirley's bar. We're remembering Sean Famous Figueroa, rest in peace. I can't say it enough. It's here at the bar we get the reaction of some of our cast to Famous's death. We got Marvin pouring out one for Famous. Duke asking Kanan if Jessica has said anything about what the feds have told her regarding anybody who could have been involved in his death. Really calling it a tragedy that it is. And then we go to a conversation between Lou and Rock where Lou's telling Rock, I'm ready to up the poll on anybody who was even associated with Fame's death. Oh nah. My son really ready to get back active over Fame. I have to respect it. Now obviously we already know Duke and Kanan is on that time. So much so that Duke tells Kanan when he finds out who did what they did to Famous, she want a piece of the action. Nah, everybody ready to slide from my boy. As they should though, because whoever did what they did to Famous need to rest in the lowest level of hell. Before we leave the bar, we get Rock talking to Kanan and basically telling him to chill out. That Famous wouldn't want him getting involved in no craziness over his death. She tells Duke to watch over Kanan to make sure he doesn't get into nothing stupid. Like, yo, she's trying to get into the same stupid stuff Kanan's trying to get into. Alright, so actually before I leave the bar, there was something that Shirley told Marvin that I want to bring up real quick. After she mentions to Marvin that this is a colossal tragedy, she tells him to keep those that he loves close. Then Marvin responds with something like, yeah, you keep them close enough, they end up making the same mistakes that you made. So is that a tell that Marvin has something to do with Famous's death? And is it also foreshadowing of what Duke is going to do to Famous's killer potentially? I mean, it's something to think about. Speaking of Duke, we see her in this episode getting into some target practice. After looking at a picture of Famous from the funeral, you can tell it's only bad thoughts going through Jukebox Mom. These intrusive thoughts inspire her to go under the couch cushion she know Marvin be hiding the gun and take it to this undisclosed location for target practice. I still don't know where the hell Jukebox found this location. She took the time to set up all in bottles and went to town. One thing she can thank the army for is that immaculate aim. Gets back to the crib later and tries to stay on the down low to keep Marvin from waking up, but you know he does. He asks her where she's been. She just said she was out doing target practice, nothing crazy. And that's when Duke and Marvin have a conversation where Marvin's basically telling Duke, this is what I was telling you about. After you get your first body, you think it goes away after a while, you think you're good, but really you not. That is sitting on your mind. And that the army or her upbringing is not gonna help her get through that. He also understands her want to get back for Famous, saying that if it was his mans that got hit like that, he'd be on the same type time her and Kanan are on. But he tells her the last thing he wants to see his daughter doing is up and pose on people, whether they deserve it or not. But Duke's not hearing it. She said, look, I'm your daughter. This is the life you introduced me to. I'm you. Whether I try to fight it or not, these things are within me. So you just got Marvin sitting there like a disappointed pops, like, damn, I really made this. Really great conversation between the two, and I think it's gonna cause some complications with their relationship going forward. Let's just hope that Duke doesn't have the same decision making as her pop. You get Marvin and Rock in this episode, and Rock is suffering from the decisions of her older brother. We know in the last episode, after Rock told Marvin to just go talk to Terry, see if you can reason with him, we know what Marvin's definition of reasoning is. Put a fat bullet in bro, which to be fair, he did say he was gonna talk to the feds. But now that Terry's dead, they have no choice but to work with his brother who's an addict. Marvin tries to pull out the little scared tactic on him, it don't work. My son is too coked up right now. So Rock basically tells him, you put his brother out, you gotta deal with the fallout of the crash out brother. I don't make the rules, but one thing I do know is they got the trucks that we need to move that product, so some gotta get figured out. We also see Marvin go to visit his mom in this episode, but not really. He just goes to the house and asks how she's doing. Obviously not wanting to face her after what she said to him last episode and potentially having her ask him again to take her out. But we do see the question posed again to Lou, who bad enough is already dealing with a big enough loss in Famous, but now we see his mom asking him to take her out. To which he obviously says no, he's not doing doing, which she already anticipated he was going to say, claiming that he's the most fragile of her kids. She says that he'd be doing her a great favor. Don't think about what it would do to me. He just straight up says, I'm not worried about what it would do to you, ma. I'm worried about what it would do to me. And for good reason, because on top of having to deal with Famous's death, his mom asked him to do this. He then got to go to the studio and deal with B-Rilla, putting out that same tired street rhetoric that he know he's not doing. He tells B-Rilla maybe he should switch up his sound and be more vulnerable to his fans, speak on some real stuff. But B-Rilla argues with him, saying that you took me out the pen because you respected my pen game and my lyricism. So now that I'm putting out full display, you want me to revert to something that I'm not? So yeah, he dubs Lou's request and tells him to check himself. Now in that moment, I knew Lou wanted to do nothing more than to put 5 fingers to this man's face. He decides to be the bigger man and leaves the room. Next time we see Lou, he's in a bar somewhere facing a couple of Ray and nephew. My son really about to go all in. Thank God Jessica responded to his text message and took him up out of that bar. Later on at the studio, she helps him to feel anything else but grief over Famous. We see later on in the episode, Imani pulls up to the studio and sees her necklace, so we already know what they got into. Lou, being an upstanding guy, returns it to Jess. She invites him to come out to LA with her to avoid all of the mess in New York, but he can't leave his roots. Very heartbreaking to see, but clearly Lou has unfinished business in New York that he cannot leave just yet. We go to Rock, who's with Stefano. They meeting up with Hafiz. We know from the last episode, Hafiz was trying to meet Rock, her business partner. Now, you definitely couldn't bring David coked out self to the meeting, but you got Stefano there, who's a made guy, quite literally. After a lengthy conversation, they decided to go into business together, where Hafiz says he'll get Rock a number by the end of the night. Luckily for Rock, she already got a number for him. Now, he looked at this number and visibly scoffed at it, talking about he needs to see more of her infrastructure and work to confirm this number with her. Rock said, that's a you problem. I don't care about none of that. I'm made in these streets. I'm certified, and I'm not going for no number higher or lower. It don't make no sense to me. That's why Rock will forever be the coldest power mom in this franchise. Argue with your own mother. Later on, we got Rock having a conversation with Crystal, telling her to tell Kanan that she stopped by, telling her to tell him to reach out over some good news. I'm assuming it's the money that's coming in from their new business with Hafiz. She also tells Crystal to watch out for Kanan to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid in retaliation for Famous, to which she says, I mean, the boy's gonna do what he want to do. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Now we gotta talk about Kanan, who is clearly distraught over the death of his best friend. We see him reeling with it throughout the episode. To the stash spot, the OC immediately tells Kanan they're out of product, but he not caring about. He's only looking for information on Famous, and when you ask him about it, they says, nah, the streets not really talking. And Kanan lets them know, look, anybody got information on what happened to Fame, I'm paying good money for it. And you already know a good dollar is all the motivation any man needs to get the job done. Before they go out to do so, though, OC asks Kanan, so you want us to dead the rest of the product? That's when Kanan turns around immediately in confusion. I thought we were just out of product. Now all of a sudden we got product to move. Then you also saying that the streets is not talking about having a Fame. Or that's what it seemed like. Make up your mind, my nigga. Which one is it? You later see OC parked outside where Kanan stashes the bread, and clearly bro is on BT. But I promise you, if he tries to rob Kanan, it's gonna end real bad for that little guy. What I think is gonna happen with that is that he's going to tell Unique where Kanan stashes at, and at some point in the season, Unique is going to hit Kanan and probably kill OC afterwards. No loose ends, baby. What could I say? Y'all know what series we watching. Either way, OC not making it to season 5. Whether it's him who directly robs Kanan or Unique who robs him. But somebody get into my son Brett. He about to be moving like Franklin Saint in the next season. Later on in the episode, we see OC and Kanan's crew get more information on what happened to Famous. Apparently, Freddy's gang called him lacking. They tortured him and left him under that mattress. So Kanan's on go right now. With OC's cap alarm already blaring off of his acts in this episode alone, I can only assume what he told Kanan about Freddy's gang was also cap. Because we see later on in the episode where Kanan and Jukebox get the jump on Freddy's gang, they appear to not have had anything to do with Famous's murder. And I kind of believe them. They said that they didn't mess with Freddy like that. I feel like after this episode, we could rule out any suspicion of Freddy's gang having anything to do with Famous's murder. I know y'all peeped how Jukebox was moving out there though. Shorty was really crashing out. We got signs of OG power Jukebox in this episode. We still got a whole other season of Raising Kanan left. She about to be on BT throughout the rest of the series. All right, now I gotta talk about everybody's second favorite ghost, Unique. The conversation with Phil Russo where he basically tells him, look, I've already been making moves against Rock's organization. Things that I'm telling you, I'm not just talking about them, I'm actually doing them. I just need the manpower and the money to continue doing what I'm doing. After they come to a truce in regards to how they're going to do it, Rock and Stefano and Phil Russo provides Unique a connect to get the manpower he's been looking for. Unique is about ready to show himself to the world again. He gets lined up by his barber, gets a few chains, and after meeting with Phil Russo's connect, he's basically ready to put himself back out there again. And we see that on full display at the end of the episode where he's literally sitting in Rock's house eating butter pecan ice cream. The way they went back to that scene in season 3 when they were still friends with Benefit and Rock was eating that butter pecan ice cream, having Unique eat that same flavored ice cream in this episode, that's exactly why the writers of Power Book 3 are up there with the writers of the OG Power. I don't care. The other spinoffs is not doing it like Book 3. I'm sorry. But that's all I got for y'all for this recap, man. It was a great episode. Definitely looking forward to seeing how Unique is going to continue to mess with Rock's organization face up. And after more information we get from Detective Garcia in this episode when he's talking to Famous's mom about Famous being tortured before he was murdered, It kind of made me take a step back in terms of who I believe took out Famous. Now, I'm still big Rock and Marvin did the hit. And while I feel like Torture is overkill, it clearly isn't for those two. But we're going to get into that in a whole other video. I'll leave y'all thoughts on this episode and what's to come throughout the rest of the season in the comments. And until next week, I'm out. Peace.